Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I want to read a news article from Event Hubs. In this news article, they're talking about when we can possibly see Tekken 8, and I think this is going to be interesting to read. Before I get really deep into the discussion, I have a little bit of trivia for you guys. I have a funny picture that I came across. Did you know that Michael Jackson was a lawman? I have a picture here of him playing on an arcade cabinet and he is playing Law. This picture honestly just shows Tekken has so much potential and it can reach very, very high. Tekken 7 was close. Of course, the pandemic sort of stopped a lot of its progress, but I think Tekken 8 can definitely reach these highs that it once held. Now, before we talk about this news article, we have to mention E3 2022 will be online only again. So they had a in-person event planned, but it was scrapped because right now COVID is going crazy. It is going crazy. Like it's very scary. But E3 is now online. A lot of things is now going back to online. And in my opinion, I think this increases the chances of Tekken 8 being shown there. Because it's very difficult for Michael Murray and Harada to fly all the way around the globe. I think that's like a 12-hour flight to be in E3 at LA in the middle of a pandemic. So E3 going online is way better for them. They can pre-record a video, they can do the segment live. If anything, it's better because they don't have to fly there. They don't have to do all these, pandemic checks. Just make a video and then boom, your message is out there. The exact quote from E3, I want to read it. It says, due to ongoing health risks surrounding COVID-19 and its potential impact on the safety of exhibitors and attendees, E3 will not be held in person in 2020. We remain incredibly excited about the future of E3 and look forward to announcing more details soon. So once they announce more details, I will make a video and try to figure out if Bandai Namco is going to be there, because if they're going to be there, that's a big indicator of what they're going to do there. So when we get more details, I will make another video about that. But let's talk about this news article now. Like I said, this is from Event Hubs. I put a lot of faith in them and a lot of credit in them because they're not just like another news site that just talks about stuff and have no clue. Event Hubs, they really focus on the FGC, and also you can tell they know what they're talking about when you read it. So that's why I really want to make this video. The headline says, is 2022 the year we finally see Tekken 8? Since it kicked off back in 1994, Bandai Namco's Tekken franchise has chugged continually along with major entries released every few years. Time between releases has grown as these games have garnished more depth, but it has never been more than 5 years between releases until now. That's the thing. Tekken used to come out, first it was like 1 year after another, then it was like 2 years, then it was like 3 years. Now it's like 7, 8 years. And the same thing with Grand Theft Auto, if you draw that comparison. The first 3 Grand Theft Autos came out sort of back to back to back. But I think GTA 3 to GTA San Andreas, there was like a 2-year split. San Andreas to GTA 4 was like a 3-year split. GTA 5, it's growing because these games are getting more complicated, more complex, but also the lifespan of these games are longer than ever. Adding in additional content really makes the game feel totally fresh and brand new. My only concern, my only complaint is how they're doing it. Pay to win DLC, I have to say it all the time. It can't be allowed in Tekken 8. We cannot be so focused on getting characters to where we forget to ask for game modes. We forget to ask for netcode. Why does it take 4 seasons for them to finally do netcode? We have to make sure if Tekken 8 has problems, those are addressed first before we start getting out our wallets to pay for DLC. We have to make sure they fix the game before we buy stuff. I know, I won't be able to push that on my own. The community as a whole will have to stand up and say, fix the game before we pay for anything. I know Frame Whisperer is already saying that. Mayman Sweet took a big break. I don't know. The community has to come together. But let's continue reading. Tekken 7 dropped back in 2015 in arcades. It made it to consoles in 2017. And yet, here we are in 2022 without the likes of Tekken 8 or Tekken Tag Tournament 3. I already said Tekken Tag Tournament 3 is not coming next. Tekken Tag Tournament 3, if the cycle continues, will come after Tekken 9. If they started doing Tekken 7, Tekken Tag Tournament 3, Tekken 8, Tekken Tag Tournament 4, I think that would be horrible. They really should just keep the cycle the way it is. But it says, looking back over the franchise timeline, as well as some unofficial information, leads us to lean towards 2020 being the year for an 8th entry. To be fair, the Tekken 7 we got in 2015 doesn't look a whole lot like the one we have now. Harada and his team at Bandai Namco has been faithfully adding characters, costumes, new modes, and other content all the way through March of 2021. This part here makes it seem like they've just been adding so much to the game. Characters, costumes, and new modes. They only added one new mode, so you could go ahead and take that S off of there. Costumes, they barely added costumes. They gave us free, I don't know, I'm not going to start complaining. And to be fair, I do agree with the first sentence of this paragraph. 2015 Tekken 7 is not the same as 2022 Tekken 7. Those two really are different entities. I think they've grown so much from one another. Mostly our knowledge and perception of Tekken 7 has changed more than anything. The quality of the game as well as the DLC had led to it being championed as one of the greatest Tekken titles of all time. And we've seen it continue to be very popular on Steam as it boasts better average numbers than the likes of 2016's Street Fighter V, 2019's Mortal Kombat 11, or even 2021 Guilty Gear Strive. Now what they're talking about here is a news article that they made in the past, and in this news article they basically showed the Steam charts. I think I have a video scheduled where I talk about these Steam charts, so I won't go too in depth, but Tekken 7, if you look at the first one, it's at the front. The second screenshot that has Brawlhalla, it's in second place. So Tekken 7 is still performing super good, even though it's the oldest fighting game still being played like on a big scale. The next portion of this news article says, fans have appeared to stay fairly stated by a slew of those worthwhile and enticing content offered by Tekken 7. But even those fully enjoying have started to wondering if it's about time for Tekken 8. A look over the timeline of major franchise releases ushers us towards a little more wonder as we note the widening gap in the pattern. Now talking about the first one, I see this a lot in the comment sections. People say, oh, they shouldn't have released Tekken 8 right now. I just bought the game in 2020. I just bought the game in 2021. I just bought Tekken 7 in 3 months ago. I get that there's a lot of people who's just buying the game right now. It's on sale all the time, so the door is open for new people to walk in. But the new people who's just started playing the game from 2 years to a few months to a few weeks, you guys have to understand, this ship has been selling before you got here. This game has been out since 2015. This game, we have been playing it for many years. Yes, you just got here, but we cannot stop the train because you just got on at the last stop. We need Tekken 8 because Tekken 7 is in a horrible position right now and needs 4 or 5 months of developer silence. I think the last update was in October, and that one wasn't really even an update. I think they removed something that was causing lag. They didn't really even change anything too much to the game. So we need Tekken 8. I get a lot of people is just now showing up. What's up? Just got here, but we cannot stop for you. We need the next game, because if this drought continues, it's going to get very ugly for the Tekken series. They need to push out that new game. They show us a release of all the past games, and this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning. Tekken 1, 1994, Tekken 2, 1995, Tekken 3, 1996, Tekken Tag Tournament 1, 1999. So that is a 3-year gap. 2 years later, Tekken 4. 3 years later, Tekken 5. 2 years later, Tekken 6. And then Tekken Tag Tournament 2. You see the cycle that I'm talking about? 3 games is in Tekken Tag Tournament 1. Another 3 games, Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And then it should be Tekken 7, 8, and 9 is in Tekken Tag Tournament 3. Now, we need Tekken 8. It's been far too long. I'm honestly surprised we haven't got it yet. That is why I'm putting so much hopes into E3. Let's look at this final screenshot. In this screenshot, they're talking about the leaks. They're talking about Guilty Gear Strive, King of Fighters. This is the juicy bit of information. I know with these news articles, they like to add in a lot of filler and they like to, make the news article longer than what's necessary for clicks and ad revenues. But usually I skip over all that stuff and I just read what's important. But for this article, I wanted to read everything because I respect Event Hubs. I have a lot of respect for them and what they do, so I wanted to read everything if you guys are wondering why. But it says, for those hoping for a little more than it really feels like it's time, back in September of last year, there were reports of an Nvidia leak that claimed a handful of major titles are en route in 2020. Among those was, of course, Tekken 8. Now, I talked about these leaks thoroughly. And what's very funny about the leaks, a big majority of the community, or I would say a slice of the community, was calling these leaks fake. Even though Nvidia came out and said on their own, they released a statement saying that this is actually real. The statement says, Nvidia is aware of an unauthorized published game list with both release and or speculative titles, used for only internal tracking and testing. Inclusion of the list is neither confirmation nor an announcement of any game. Nvidia took immediate action to remove access to the list. No confidential game builds or personal data were exposed. So what are they saying? They're saying that this was a real leak. They actually had Tekken 8's release date, Mortal Kombat's release date, Injustice Gods Will Fall. They had a release date for that. They had so much information. And they said it was true. The one thing that they did not say, and Harada, this is the major thing I want you guys to understand. There was also another leak that was happening a little bit after, and Harada was quick to call that leak fake. He was quick to throw shade at the person who made that. And you have to wonder, if the other leak was fake, and if this Nvidia leak is fake, why isn't Harada saying it? Why has Harada avoided talking about this leak for months? If it's fake like everyone says, why hasn't Harada said it? He was so quick to jump on the other leak, why not this one? The article goes on to say, games bigger and more time consuming to make in the modern age of gaming. And they often boast continued DLC support after release. On top of that, we've seen COVID-19 toss a plethora of wrenches into many different development cycles. King of Fighters 15 and Guilty Gear Strive were both pushed back from their initial release dates and were unofficially heard that other major titles seen similar setbacks thanks to the pandemic. The noticeable gap in the patterns of Tekken games doesn't seem quite as large when you consider such factors, but we'd be more surprised than not to hear Bandai Namco reveal Tekken 8 for 2020. A lot of people were saying, oh, Tekken 8 will be announced at EVO, Tekken 8 will be announced at, this tournament, that tournament. I said in the past that, Michael Murray said in the past, the only time they announce new games is at E3. What do you know? E3 is coming up in like 3-4 months. They have been silent ever since October. Tekken 7 is like 6 years old. Everything is looking like we're going to get a Tekken 8. It sucks that we won't be able to hear the crowd reaction to the trailer and see it like in person, if you guys were to get a ticket and go there. But what's important, I think, is that we're getting a new game. And also what I think is important is that game needs to be up to par. They can't have cheaters. They can't have busted pay-to-win DLC. I think the community has gotten a lot smarter. There's a lot of things that happened in Tekken 7 that I don't know if they will be able to repeat. Talking quickly about specific characters, you have Armor King. I don't know if they will be able to sell him again as DLC. Anna Williams, Lei. There's certain characters that you will not be able to sell. Again, it's DLC. The community will not fall for the same, I want to say, trick twice, but I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what Tekken 8 is. It's been so long since we had a new game, and I'm just curious to see at this point the story, the mechanics, the graphics, the meta, easy to use characters, new moves. It's a lot that I'm interested to see, and I don't know. This news article was informative. I liked it. A lot of this, it kind of leaves it open-ended, and that's kind of how I leave my videos as well, so I can't criticize them for that. But E3 is what I'm putting all of my hopes into. I'm not going to say you guys should as well, but for me, all of my hopes is on E3. But that is it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye.
Me in the room.